The cold wind brushed against the wide marble steps of the cultural center as cameras clicked rapidly, capturing every small gesture and expression. A crowd had gathered, waiting for the president's arrival, some out of genuine curiosity, others because the event had become a must-see spectacle across the city. In the middle of the growing buzz, a young boy stood with his school group, his eyes wide and curious, holding a folded paper that he had been determined to read. The moment was supposed to be symbolic, an event showcasing leadership, culture, and connection with the younger generation. But no one expected what would unfold. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Conflict Front Stories channel. Please subscribe and like my videos for more deep dive explanations, world events decoding, and real-time geopolitical stories. Today's story takes us into a moment that surprised millions, a moment caught on camera, replayed across social media, and dissected by analysts around the world. It's a rare glimpse into a conversation that didn't go according to the polished script, a moment where a child's innocent question revealed far more than expected. So let's step into the atmosphere of that day and break down what really happened. Outside the cultural center, the atmosphere felt controlled yet tense. Security personnel stood in well-coordinated positions, ensuring every angle was accounted for. Reporters whispered into microphones while their cameramen adjusted lenses, trying to predict where the action would unfold first. Flags fluttered slightly in the light breeze, and volunteers ushered the school groups into organized lines. The intention was clear, a perfect scene, carefully arranged. But reality has a strange way of breaking through any script. When the presidential convoy arrived, the crowd shifted forward collectively, phones rising like a forest of glowing screens. The cars came to a slow halt, and bodyguards stepped out first, scanning the area before signaling. Then came the president, stepping out into the light with a practiced smile. He shook hands with local officials, exchanged short greetings, and moved along the walkway where children waited with their teachers. The boy with the folded paper watched him closely, rehearsing silently in his mind. He didn't know if he would get the chance, but he was ready. The president approached the children, continuing the routine of asking names, schools, and interests. The cameras loved it, capturing the friendly interactions that typically defined such public appearances. But as he reached the boy, something shifted. The child stepped forward, a bit hesitantly at first, but enough to catch the president's eye. He unfolded the paper with shaky hands, cleared his throat, and asked a question that instantly changed the tone of the moment. It wasn't aggressive, it wasn't rehearsed, it wasn't politically charged in a hostile way. It was simply the kind of question that only a child could ask, direct, honest, unfiltered. He asked why there was still a conflict in Ukraine when everyone said peace was important. He asked why families had to be separated. He asked why people online were talking about fear and uncertainty. The words weren't complicated, but their effect was immediate. The president paused, visibly caught off guard. His expression tightened for a moment, the confident smile fading as he searched for the right response. Around them, the crowd shifted nervously. Teachers exchanged uneasy glances, unsure whether to step in or let the moment unfold. Bodyguards leaned slightly forward, not out of threat, but out of procedural concern. Reporters raised their microphones instinctively, recognizing the potential significance of this unexpected exchange. The exterior scene suddenly felt heavier. Even the breeze seemed to quiet, as if waiting for an answer. The president tried to respond, offering carefully chosen language about security, national interests, and complicated circumstances. But the boy didn't look satisfied. He wasn't challenging, he was simply trying to understand, and that innocence made the moment more powerful. The president shifted his posture, clearing his throat, stumbling on a few words. It wasn't dramatic, but it was noticeable, an uncommon hesitation for a leader known for firm messaging. As the cameras continued rolling, the boy asked again, this time mentioning that someone he knew had moved away because of fear surrounding the conflict. It was a personal detail, not political, and that made it even more uncomfortable. The president tried to maintain composure, addressing the child with softer, more empathetic tones. Still, his body language revealed tensions, small fidgets, averted eye contact, a brief glance toward his aides. The moment wasn't part of any script, and that authenticity is what made it viral across the world. The crowd didn't react loudly, but you could feel the quiet ripple of surprise passing through them. Even the reporters, trained to stay neutral, exchanged looks of disbelief. They knew they had captured something rare, a leader confronted, not by opposition, not by journalists, but by a child who simply wanted clarity. It was a moment that stripped away political lines and exposed the human layer beneath. The president eventually offered a more composed explanation, guiding the conversation toward themes of national duty and protecting the country's interests. But the hesitation, the small squirm in his posture, the subtle discomfort, it had already been seen, captured, and shared. And that is how the moment transformed from a routine public appearance into a global discussion point. Inside the cultural center, the mood felt different. Away from the cameras, the interior lighting cast a softer glow on the modern hallways lined with artwork and photographs. The sound of footsteps echoed lightly as the president and his delegation made their way deeper inside. The event continued, speeches, handshakes, presentations, but the earlier interaction lingered in the atmosphere. Aides whispered quietly, likely discussing how the moment would appear in the media. Even though the interior scenes were brief, the earlier exterior moment overshadowed everything else. The president delivered his scheduled remarks, speaking about culture, unity, and national resilience. The audience applauded politely, but the energy felt more restrained than before. It was clear that the earlier exchange had left an impression not only on viewers but on the people in the room as well. When he finished the speech and exited the hall, the boy was still in the lobby with his group, quietly observing everything around him. He didn't know the world had already begun reacting online. Outside again, the crowd had thinned. Dusk settled over the city, casting a golden hue across the buildings. Journalists hurried to upload footage, commentators prepared reactions, and social media users clipped the exact moment when the question was asked and the hesitation appeared. In a matter of hours, millions had seen it. Some saw it as a moment of vulnerability, others as a moment of truth, and some as a rare, unfiltered confrontation with reality. For the boy, it was simply a question he felt needed to be asked. For the president, it was a moment that broke the rhythm of controlled public relations. For the world, it became a symbol of how unpredictable human interaction can be, and how even the most powerful leaders can be shaken, even slightly, by the sincerity of a child's perspective. Commentators analyzed body language, tone, timing, and facial expressions. Analysts from different countries used the moment to highlight political narratives. Some said the hesitation revealed internal pressure. Others argued it was a natural reaction to a difficult question. But almost everyone agreed on one thing: the encounter felt authentic in a world often dominated by rehearsed communication. As the story continued spreading, reactions poured in. Some praised the boy's courage, admiring how he asked a question that many adults felt too intimidated to ask. Others worried about the potential consequences for the family, though nothing serious was reported. Teachers who were present described the moment as surprising but meaningful. Students from the group later said they didn't fully understand why the moment became so famous, but they realized how rare it is for a child's voice to be heard at such a level. Meanwhile, the president's team released official footage and additional statements clarifying the responses. The goal was to regain control over the narrative, but the viral clip had already taken on a life of its own. People replayed it frame by frame, analyzing every micro-expression. The slight shift of the shoulders, the pause before answering, the forced smile returning, all details that added to the story's momentum. Over the following days, talk shows, podcasts, and news panels discussed the significance of this small but powerful moment. Some argued that it exposed genuine public confusion about the conflict. Others believed it revealed how deeply people, even children, were affected by online conversations and global tension. The event became more than just a confrontation. It became a lens through which audiences interpreted the complexities of war, leadership, and public perception. But behind the political noise, the core of the story remained simple. One child asked one question, and the reaction, caught on camera, showed that even highly controlled environments can't predict the spontaneity of human emotion. It reminded the world that sometimes truth surfaces not through speeches but through unscripted interactions. As we move deeper into the breakdown of this moment, it becomes clear why it resonated so deeply. During times of conflict, people look for answers, clarity, reassurance. And when those answers feel distant or complicated, even a small moment of hesitation from a leader can spark widespread reflection. The boy's question didn't change geopolitics, but it did change perspectives. It encouraged people to ask, what do children think when they hear about war? How do they process fear or separation? How do leaders respond when confronted with innocence instead of criticism? The child didn't accuse, didn't debate, didn't argue. He simply asked why things were the way they were, and that simplicity made the moment unforgettable. The city where the event happened returned to normal within days, but the legacy of the moment continued unfolding. Online artists created drawings of the boy holding the paper. Journalists wrote long, form articles about children growing up during times of tension. Teachers used the moment as an example of how important honest questions can be. And through all of this, the original clip kept circulating, collecting millions of views across platforms. From a storytelling perspective, the moment works like a perfect narrative twist. The scene was set for a smooth event, but unpredictability entered through the least expected character, a child, and that turned the event into a global conversation. As we reflect on this story, we see how powerful authenticity can be. When truth comes from an unlikely source, it becomes harder to ignore. Leaders practice speeches, prepare statements, and rehearse answers, but no one can perfectly rehearse for genuine human connection. That's why the moment remains so fascinating and why you're hearing about it on this channel today. The exterior setting framed the event with open tension and visibility. The interior quietness contrasted with it, making the emotional shift even more noticeable. Together, they formed a complete story, one that millions continue to analyze and interpret. As the day finally ended and the streets quieted, the boy returned home with his classmates, not fully understanding the impact of what he had done. He simply carried a memory of asking a question that mattered to him, and sometimes that's enough to change the world, not through loud actions but through honest curiosity, and that brings us to the end of our exploration of this moment. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want more breakdowns of real-world events, surprising encounters, and global stories, make sure to subscribe to Conflict Front Stories. Turn on notifications so you never miss an episode, and hit the like button if you found this story interesting. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.